I wanted to make a little bit of an intro video on source control and how to work with source control. Source control is basically just kind of a method or the tool that we use to collaborate on the project. So making sure that everyone's changes go into kind of the same place, and then we use the source control both to share the work so that everyone is working on the same thing. We use it to track all of the changes so that we can get an idea of what's happening in the project. And then we use what's in source control to make our builds, and we push those builds out to our clients. So I wanted to try to make just a short introduction video on how to use it, and especially from an artist point of view. So I'm going to start by just doing a little bit of an overview of how this works, and then maybe do some more practical examples. So let me just jump here into Photoshop. So like I mentioned, it's a collaborative tool, and it's very good to think about this as a timeline. So and you're always thinking about your changes and other people's changes into the project. So anytime that you make a change, that change gets saved and is then committed and pushed into the project. So, oops, let's see here. Maybe we have to add a layer. Here we go. Okay, so just as an example, so here, this would be a change. This is going to make sense in a while. And here is another change, and here's another change. And when I talk about a change, it's not just like updating one file or something like that. So it could be updates on multiple files. It's just a change to the project. So the change might be, for example, add character base mesh. So this change here, this little dot here, this is the change adding the character base mesh. And then we're gonna just have another one, update master material. So that's another change. So the important bit here is that these changes are not the same. Like these are two different changes. So when we start looking at this this timeline here, or this history here, it's very easy to kind of track and see what has been changing in the project. And it's also just very good practice that whenever you make a change, that it's kind of organized in a way like this. And another one could just be add LOD to rocks. For example, so then this just kind of keeps going on, and that's basically how this works. Oh, that's terrible. And that's basically how this works. And you can just kind of imagine that, like all of our development is we're just moving forward in a timeline, and every developer is adding their changes and committing these changes to the project. So one change to the project is adding the character base mesh, another one is updating master material. So, and then when we keep going throughout these through the timeline, and at the end, whenever that's going to be, we have finished game. But that's very, very far in the future. So just to show a little bit better as well, that now that people are kind of joining the project, and we've been working on this for a while, so there is already a pretty big history of things that's already there. You don't really have to know what it is, you just have to know that it's there. So anytime that you have to make your, or anytime that you are working on adding your commits to the project, you have to make sure that you fetch or pull all of the changes that other people have been doing, so that you can build on top of them. So, and I'm going to show a little bit better how that's done when we go into into Sourcetree, the tool that we're using. But basically, let's see, work until now is here. So yeah, basically how this is just like a super simple and basic version of how source control works and how we use it. I would like to say that source control is you can do a lot of cool things with it and a lot of complicated things. You can also get yourself into very interesting problems, which are really fun to kind of dig yourself out of. But yeah, so this is kind of just the foundations for moving over to the next step.